that has been the biggest learning, understanding of just every year is different. And
Mhm.
I think what I tell people is that you have a whole lifetime to grieve.
Mhm.
If people feel guilty when they're having fun
Mhm.
or whatever, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. You have a whole lifetime for it to
Yes.
be
Yeah.
whatever it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
If there's a moment where you're feeling good, just feel it and
Treasure
be in
that.
it
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
embrace it.
We all are gonna die. 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 Why don't we help each other prepare for it? Without death, there could not be life. I'm talking about end of life conversations, conversations about the end of life. Death and dying, grief and loss, conversations about the end of life.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. We are so excited to have this opportunity to speak to Christine Jurisich. She is a retreat facilitator and the founder of Retreat, Reflect, and Renew Ministry, a mostly online retreat ministry.
Yeah. I was looking at your website. Looks really fascinating.
Rich.
Yeah.
Good.
The
Good.
first thing that caught me was the still small voice, listening for
Mhm.
the still small voice. That's such an important part of my work and all of our work if we're paying
I
attention,
know.
I guess.
Every day. That could be the
Yeah.
name of every retreat that
It
we
could
do.
be, right? Right.
Really. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that one. Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, Christine also holds a master's in theology with emphasis in mercy spirituality, which we want to hear more about, and is
Mhm.
a Mercy Associate, spiritual director, trained through the Mercy Institute of Spiritual Formation at Mercy Center Burlingame. She's also the author of Retreat, Reflect, Renew, a sacred journal for a more peaceful you. So definitely going to hear some more about all of that.
Mhm.
We always like to start though by just kind of hearing from people when did you first become aware of death?
I really appreciate this question. Now, looking back, I see what a profound moment when death entered my world. I was in fourth grade and I lost my grandfather. I come on my mom's side, a big extended family, dinner every Sunday at grandma and grandpa's house. So, my grandpa was a big part of my life. And I just remember I have this image just on the couch, my family just crying, crying, crying. And that night I went to bed and my mom came in to tuck me in. And I just said, Mom, I'm so sad. I don't know what to do. I'm so sad. And she said, Well, I pray when I'm sad. Why don't you try to pray to
Mhm.
God?
Mhm.
And so I love that moment because the first time death enters my world, this image of faith as a practical, personal, conversational experience enters my
Mhm.
world as well. And our family went to church every Sunday, but this was the first time I was invited to this personal conversation.
Mhm.
When I use the word God, I'm using that with this awareness and openness that everyone is using their own word and their experience
Mhm.
of infinite being. How do we find a perfect word for that? We
Right.
don't. We
That's
don't.
right.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
use the word God a lot, especially in my retreats. It's the most generalized word, but the invitation to take that wherever you need to take
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So that was a profound moment when I first that's had death enter my world. The next year, I was in fifth grade. A cousin of mine died. That was awful. And then about 10 years ago, another cousin, 24 years old, died in a car
Mm.
accident. That was awful. And that was a whole new experience having to, now I was the mom, and now I had to walk with my two kids through
Mhm.
that. And that was so difficult.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
8 years ago, my son, I lost my son. He was 16 years old,
Mhm.
Mm.
just finished his freshman year of high school. It's the summer, and he died of a brain aneurysm. So completely random,
Mhm.
unexpected. How do you wrap your head around that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, I'm grateful that he did not die that night. Went to the hospital, and then eventually he was in the ICU for 25 days. Very intense 25 days. Very dramatic. He was in a coma for 11 of those days. I mean, just every day was something dramatic. And
Mhm.
so, death was introduced to me at a young age in different ways, but this was the first time death with PTSD, trauma, and all of that
Mhm.
just opened my world to a whole different type of grief and
Mhm.
Mm,
loss that I
yeah,
and PTSD and that I did not fully understand, and I don't know
Mm.
how you can without having the
Mhm.
experience of it. So that has
Right.
really, really changed my life in
Mhm.
a lot of ways.
right.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
so interesting that you can actually distill the different types of grief that you've experienced. Even the grief of your it was a cousin, right, when you were young?
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
that your mother was experiencing that in her own way, that other parent was so grief is very, like, personal to every
Hmm.
single one of our experiences, depending
Mhm.
on who it is or how it is, right? And so you have had this path of experiencing death along your life. So how has all of these stories, all of these experiences, lived experiences, challenged you and impacted the story of who you are today?
I think I have always been, aside from anything that happened into my life, in very intuitive and seeing things in a more mystical, spiritual way,
Mhm,
um, and always asking questions. And so I think that has always helped me accept life is full of joys and challenges
mhm,
and mysterious. And so
Hmm.
thankfully it did not rock my world in that way. Um and I had my when I lost my son, I was deep into my ministry, been
mm,
giving retreats for the past, 15, 20 years into this spiritual growth ministry for so
mhm,
long. And
mhm,
so it really opened my eyes to this deeper, wider understanding of all that we don't understand. I'm saying,
the
why am I
the
using the word
mystery.
understanding? Yeah, not be the
Yeah,
word to
yeah.
use. To just be,
Mhm,
yeah. And so, I mean, I remember this moment in the hospital during those awful 25 days. I write these online retreats. They're like books. We have these 3-year cycle of them. So there's six every fall and spring. We offer them, and they're like 6 weeks long. And I don't facilitate them, I write them. And so I was checking in on one on my phone from the hospital. And I remember reading some of this. I think it was my retreat, The Journey Within, where we're going deep within, asking, who am I? Who is God? These big questions.
mhm,
And so I'm reading what I had written. And I remember thinking, yes, that is so right on. But I knew that was right on in a deeper way. I don't feel like my writing comes from me. I feel like it comes from spirit. And so there's a lot
mhm,
of time I'm just writing and it's
mhm,
bigger than what I fully understand in the moment, but it makes
mhm,
sense while I'm writing it. And then as I grow, I say, "Oh yeah, okay, I get that."
mhm,
And so it's really helped me provide this wider, deeper space for
mhm,
people in from my
mhm,
writing, my retreat
mhm,
facilitating, and I appreciate that I can offer that
mhm,
space in so much bigger way. I mean, I remember
mhm.
laughing a little bit to myself. I mean, in the middle of this tragedy, like, "Oh, thank God, like, this checks
Yeah.
out."
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
experiencing a crisis, and this checks out. So,
Mhm,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
just kinda laughing a little bit on that. But, yeah. So, also I have to say it has opened up the vulnerability with friendships and family members. We
mhm,
experienced a lot with this, and my neighbors.
Mm,
I'm just really grateful for the relationships that I have in my life that I've had for a long time. but this opened up a deeper space of intimacy and vulnerability in going through this and really, really made me how to learn have to be more vulnerable. And
Mhm.
I thought I was vulnerable and open and honest, but there's just a whole new um, place that I really had to travel to receive other people's help and
Mhm.
love through the grief, and that helps me heal. And so
Mhm.
a whole new way of being vulnerable has just given me the gift of really beautiful, even deeper, more intimate relationships, and
Mhm.
I
Mm,
really appreciate that.
Mhm.
yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's
Mm.
yeah, we've met and had several people on the podcast who've lost children, and that seems to be
Mhm.
one of the most profound, of course, things that happen to people's lives. And in fact, two of our death doula friends have begun a group specifically for that, for anybody
Mhm.
who's lost a child,
Child
whether it's through
loss.
Good. I'm glad
incarceration
to hear
or
that. Yes.
incarceration or estrangement or illness or death.
Yeah.
And the reason I think that that has come up so often, well, I mean that they're doing that work and that I hear about it so often is just the profundity, the incredible sense of uh, just sort of finding what's important, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, like everything else can go away. There's only one thing that's important right now. So, um, anyway, yeah, go ahead, Ana
Yeah,
Luisa.
no, and I was gonna say, I think the value of having a space for people to, uh, bear witness to others who have lost children is that just like we can't figure out the most amazing and perfect word for God, the divine, a lot of us can't reach in and share the word to identify the loss and the deep loss that we feel when a child is gone, and meeting with people who we can look at each other and it's like, "I know. I know what that feels like." We don't have to name it like in this very specific way, but so I think that's really beautiful that you can now offer that as a lived experience for people who you could open it up and say, "I know
Yeah,
the depth of this loss that you have experienced." So,
Yeah, it does
yes.
help me listen in a new way because
Mhm.
yeah,
and that's what we do in our retreat with I'm also formed as a spiritual director. I mean, it is
Mhm.
all about listening is so important. And so um I listen in a bigger way
mm,
because really all of our griefs are so different. And so
yeah,
Mhm.
I never want to sound like I'm going to understand someone else's grief.
Mhm.
Everyone has different values and
Mhm.
life experiences prior to the grief, and so
Mm.
different griefs are different for everybody.
Yes, yeah.
I was at this one bereavement group, and they said, "What's the worst grief to have?" And I said, "Your grief." I mean, that is helpful because
Oh,
we
wow, yeah.
put things on a hierarchy, or
Uh-huh.
right.
like people don't want to share things with me because
Mhm.
I never want that kind of wall between me and someone else. Like whatever
Mhm.
your loss is, as you said, like that doula, estrangements, all of those,
Mhm.
incarceration, all of those are deep losses, and
Mhm.
Yeah,
everyone is experiencing the grief in different ways.
Mhm.
And so it's really about listening, that I listen in a new way,
hmm,
um, and invite others. We have what we call sacred circles, and these are contemplative listening sessions once a month. They're on Zoom. We have a couple in person, and
Hmm.
you don't have to sign your life away. You can come for one, you can come for all. It doesn't matter. We hold them on Tuesday and Saturday once a month,
Mhm. Mhm.
and and we have trained facilitators from all over the country, with some outside of the country. And it's about holding. I can invite them to hold in a bigger way. And,
Mhm.
most people won't well, I'm saying most people. I mean, gosh, the more I meet, so many have tragic losses. So I won't say most people, but um, none of us can fully understand what each other has to
Mhm.
bear. And so as we learn
Mhm.
to listen and hold space for each other in a bigger,
Mhm.
wider, deeper, non-judgmental way. It's just
Yeah,
It's
so
a
important.
blessing to be
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we need that. Everybody needs that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a great segue into telling us a little bit more about your group and your
Huh?
book, the work you're doing. Basically, what is your work now, and how does that? Yeah, tell us more about that and how
Yeah.
people can become involved if they're interested, or how they can learn from it.
I would love to. So the ministry is called Retreat, Reflect, Renew. And as you mentioned, it's a mostly online ministry, but I absolutely do in person retreats as well. But we focus on, well, the mission of the ministry is trying to be there for people who yearn for deepening spirituality and genuine
Mhm.
community.
Mhm.
And it's our topics have to do with personal and spiritual growth because that partnership between psychology and spirituality is so important. The more I know myself, the more I know God, the more I know God, the more I can know myself. It's all
Mhm.
related.
Mhm.
And so we do retreats such as um, finding your divine rhythm, looking at the rhythm of your life and balance
Mhm.
and looking at boundaries, how that plays into it. And grace and gratitude is another one. Um, Listening for the still voice of God, as you mentioned, that one is in
Mhm.
October. That's an in-person weekend retreat. I'm here in California. That's in Mercy Center, Auburn, and for the weekend. And then there's also a 6-week online retreat version as well.
Mhm.
And in that, it's an online written format. So you're doing it at your own pace, in your own way. You have the material for a year, so you can take as long as you want. And we also, for the 6 weeks, offer it as a facilitated experience and meet once a week on Zoom. So you can
Mhm.
experience that way if you choose. And so many people take them over and over because
Hmm.
of the sense of community and that share a safe space to be sharing these types of concepts.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, what gets in the way of listening, what gets in the
Mhm.
way of being
Mhm.
present, and how can we become more comfortable with things like silence and solitude, always with the acknowledgement that this is hard for all of us.
Yeah.
I do this
Yeah.
for a living. I still have to work on
Mhm.
becoming comfortable, going deeper in
Mhm.
the silence, going deeper in the solitude.
Yeah.
And so I try to also to really make it a space where it's like, okay, we are all on this together. Like, none of us are
Mhm.
perfect. It is, getting in touch with your spirituality. That's a lot. It's not
Yeah.
easy to do. I don't want it to be intimidating.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. There's a quote, I wish I had it in front of me, by Mirabai Starr, one of her books, that she says, she's been meditating her whole life, and she says, you know, do you think that it's easy for me? No, it's the same as it's always been. I still spin up, oh, did I get the dishes done? What does the dog need?
Mhm.
and and she said, but
Yes.
I still make it a practice. I still try and do it
Mhm.
as often as I can for as much as I can. And she said, so we're all just bozos on this bus, as they used to say.
It's so
We're doing.
true. And I appreciate, I really appreciate Mirabai Star's writing. And I love how she does talk with such an approachable, down to earth. I'm here doing the work too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And I
yeah,
appreciate all the authors who do that. It
yeah,
Mhm.
opens up a space for me to be more comfortable
Mhm.
and not try to feel like I have to know everything, do everything, be with me. I'm here as a companion on the journey. I
Mhm. That's
with a
right.
passion for writing about it,
yeah.
and trying to make sense of all that cannot be made sense of. But I will
Right.
always be trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our work. Could try
It
to
is
make
our
sense
it is
and
our work.
knowing and loving and being in the space of we really don't know and never will.
Mhm.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
which
Yeah,
is
I
fine.
mean,
Yeah,
we have to we really have to be comfortable with that uncomfortable
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That
feeling
space.
and sense that um, we are all just imperfect people trying to make sense of a world that has so much suffering and violence
Mhm.
and so much divisiveness. And that just is, it's a backdrop to anything going on in your personal life. And so to
Yeah,
Mhm.
try to make sense of that, I think you need to have something, a time to stop, pause. I mean, I
Mhm.
love the name of the ministry, retreat, reflect, renew. I mean, that is the intent to pause, take a step back from what
Mhm.
you're doing and the chatter and all of that, and really take a look at self-acceptance, letting
Mm,
go, and
mhm.
really getting closer to a God of mercy. That has not always been presented every way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And so that
so
Mhm.
true.
opens the door to more healing, more growth within yourself, with other people, your day to day life.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
uh, the first words of almost every chapter or surah of the Quran are Rahman and Rahim, which is mercy and compassion.
compassion.
And so
Mhm.
it's this that it's emphasized, and of course it's emphasized in the Christian religion and Jewish religion,
Mhm.
probably all of them in some way. That sense that
Mhm.
there's that
Appeasement,
sense.
do no harm.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's a
that's
thread of mercy
Mhm.
in all the
Mhm.
religions. We
yeah.
absolutely are
Mhm.
united in that. Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's such an incredible, important thing for us to remember as we're struggling.
Right. And
Yeah,
For
and
ourselves, compassion and mercy for ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
When I really love, I know we're talking about this as we're all just spiritual beings on a spiritual journey and we're all doing the best we can. And we're here to talk about death and dying. And, I was just thinking, you know, if people had more compassion for themselves about around their discomfort to talk about death, like,
Mhm.
of families who want to like hold that space and it's really uncomfortable and to talk about the grief and it's really uncomfortable. And again, it's like we do need to meet ourselves and others with compassion and mercy for
Yeah.
every little thing that we have to do in this world because life is constantly, you know, it's going on in the backdrop. It's very difficult. So anyhow, I was just thinking about that, yes, because we need
Yeah,
more compassion.
No, it
that's
is
one of
so
the big ones.
true. It's so true. I hear so much from people grieving. I and they start the
Mhm.
sentence with "I should,"
Mm,
Yes.
and well, and I mean, a lot of people in the retreats, not even just grieving people, but I should, I want to, I need to,
Mhm.
and on top of that, there are a lot of people who
Mhm.
have not had an intimate experience of death and expect it to be a linear process. And so
mm,
there can be those shoulds placed on others too. And that
yeah,
Mhm.
is, I mean, I think I placed some on on myself, not because of other people placing them on me, but just wanting to um, be strong for my husband and my daughter
Mhm.
and
sure.
really guiding them through the healing process.
Mhm.
It's so I think anytime we are starting a sentence with I should or putting timelines on our grief, that should be just a little wake up call. Oh wait,
Yeah,
Mhm.
let
yeah,
me just be where I am
Yeah.
and be in this my own pace. I mean, what's been really interesting for me to learn as I experience grief, I'm now at 8 years out. And, I think a lot of people expect you to feel better after a year and expect it to kind of be a linear process. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's, I don't mean to be unfair to people saying, I don't know if people, but I think a lot of people do expect that.
yeah,
And, um,
That's a hopeful assumption.
yeah,
right.
right.
You're right. It's a hopeful
Yeah,
assumption. And, um, it, I can't believe how much it's not a linear process.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I was told that before, but the first year is not even anything. I mean, it's just like a trying to
Mhm.
survive. My brain hasn't
Mhm.
even uh,
Registering.
begun to register.
yeah,
Mhm.
And people are like, "You're so strong. You're so strong." I mean, oh, I was not strong. I was just, whatever. I don't know what I was.
Mhm.
Just
yeah,
living off
Mhm.
of
yeah,
God's grace.
Mhm.
And so it's been really interesting to see how every single year has been a whole different experience
Mhm.
to work through, to let go,
Mhm.
to learn. And And that's just been very interesting, and I don't see that ending ever, ever.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, I do
Yeah.
feel like my family, I'm really grateful, my husband and my daughter and I, my daughter's 25, she we all we're in a good place, and I'm so
Mhm.
grateful for that. But and we share lots of joy,
Mhm.
and laughter and new life. But, that sits along, "Oh,
Got the
wish
grief.
Peter were here. Peter would be
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about this," or,
Mhm. Mhm.
all those other things too, or fears
Mhm.
that come up that's faster to come up because we've
Yeah.
Mhm.
experienced the worst case
Mhm.
scenario. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that has been the biggest understanding of just every
Mhm.
year is different, and um,
Mhm.
I think what I tell people is that you have a whole lifetime to grieve. So,
Mhm.
if people feel guilty when they're having fun
Mhm.
or whatever, maybe I
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing this. You have a whole lifetime for
Yeah.
it to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
whatever it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
If there's a moment where you're feeling good, just feel it and
Treasure
be in
that.
it
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
embrace it.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
it kind of makes me as you're saying this, you're so fun to talk to because
Oh, good. You're fun to talk to too.
your language is like making my brain percolate with a lot of thoughts. But I was just thinking how linearity, if that's such a word, is almost a human construct, right?
Hmm.
I mean, we assume that time is linear, but there's also, science who says it's not linear. It's
Yeah.
all kinds of ways. And, we enter into life, we grow up and we think that time is linear. Experiences are just experience, like rites of passage. You go through these times and it's all on this one continuum, right? But what I realized with both forgiveness and possibly grief that was in my head, it's all spiral. And so I remember being at a retreat once where it was all about forgiveness. And he said, at the beginning is this big space of anger and disappointment and rage or whatever you're experiencing it. And as you forgive, you're starting on this path. And he's like, and then you're surprised that like a year later, something makes you remember it and it flares up again.
Mhm.
And you feel the same anger, disappointment, rage. And we say, why have I not done my work and forgiven?
Yeah.
Or why have I not gotten past this grief? And what he said was like, you know, as you moved past it, I'm assuming that you're not going to sit there that long and you'll be going back out into this like spiral space. But as the years, you traverse this time, all the times that you are ticking back into that moment, it'll be smaller and smaller and smaller. And
Mhm.
so that's how grief kind of doesn't necessarily disappear. It just dissipates slowly but surely, and it probably will never go away as long as we live, but we'll
Right.
still be experiencing it, and we meet it with their new selves. We meet it with new memories and joys and heart sickness, right? And
Right.
so I'm just thinking about that. Like, let's like be very clear. This isn't like Kubler Ross's like it's or seven stages of grief, and you get it done and it's over forever. It is
Mhm.
a perpetual ebb and flow forever and
Right.
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
It's so
And you
true. And
and
now,
you
and I don't think that those stages of grief, the Kubler-Ross stages of grief, were ever intended to be a linear
Right, they
Yeah.
weren't.
process. They just were taken that way, and I
Yes.
Yeah.
think,
Yep.
now everyone tries to educate people that it is exactly what you said.
Mhm,
It
mhm,
is just a spiral, and what rose in me when I heard you is, I love, Sister Joan Chittister, an author of several books, Benedictine spirituality, and she says, "Hope is made of memories." And
Yeah.
so
mhm,
when I was
mhm,
listening to you, I thought, yes, that is where we find hope, is to know I've had that anger, I've had that
mhm,
darkness before, and moved through it to the other side.
Yeah.
And I will do that again. I've been able to
mhm,
get out of bed before.
mhm,
I'll be able to
mhm.
get out of bed again. I've
Wow.
experienced joy and then sadness and then joy and then sadness. So just know, like, hope is made of memories. And you just
Yeah.
remember that there have been people in the past that have helped you through, or you've
Yeah.
helped yourself through, um, or faith, or whatever it is that. And I think all of life, whether you've experienced grief or not, having that sense of everything is cyclical.
Right. Right.
Everything we're going
Right.
on in the world is cyclical.
Yeah. So you can ask, but like specifically, you're a retreat person, right?
Right.
And so I guess my question to you was, what are your biggest challenges around this work?
Oh gosh. What has been the biggest challenge recently is just trying to balance. I am this creative person and the pastoral spirit in me, the writer in me, the creator in me that is creating, creating, creating. And then um the reality of a ministry that's a nonprofit, and I'm also having to wear the executive director hat,
Mhm.
and I've had to put a lot of attention onto that executive director hat recently because I was just creating, 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 and we
Mhm.
needed to, get things a little more efficient, organized. We have a more expanded leadership team, and all of that. And so going back and forth between the practical end of things that
Mhm.
have to be done, and especially with these online retreats, they're on a learning platform. There's a lot of
Mhm.
details behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Um, so that has just been a practical, just enough time in the day. And I have so many more books in me. I have so much more I want to write. I have so much I want to do, and enough time in the day because it is quiet work. It takes
Mhm.
hours and hours of quiet work to write and create.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's that, just, on a
Mhm.
practical level day to day. And then as far as the retreat ministry overall, I've been in retreat ministry now for, almost 20 years. And I mean, the reality is it's tough. There are a lot of retreat centers closing, which
Mhm.
Mhm.
breaks my heart. And so that is sad to see, I think. And there has to be a real awareness of trauma that is
Mhm.
around, and
Mhm.
having to be educated, aware, equipped, because gosh, people are just dealing with a lot, a
Yeah.
lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that is a deeper awareness that that is needed, and then I'll say the challenge of um, balancing it all out, wanting to
Mhm.
live the life that I'm inviting others to live to.
Mhm.
That's I have having enough time with friends and family and being present, and just being present to
Yeah.
silence and stillness.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
also being present to writing about silence.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
those I would say are all the challenges. But I mean, really, I can't believe how grateful I am to be in this work.
Mhm.
I am passionate about it. I get to meet people from all over the world who want to
Mhm.
come and just reflect and share. I mean, always with the option to not share. We don't force anyone to share. It's just a very welcoming, non-judgmental environment, and to just or people just take these retreats on their own too, and don't
Mhm.
partake it in the sharing
Mhm.
also. But seeing people, there are a lot of people who come back to each retreat, each sacred circle, and so this
Mhm.
community has formed, and people call retreat, reflect, renew their spiritual home, and that is
Mhm.
Mm.
just
Mhm.
it is just amazing to be a part of that. And I say
Mhm.
just a
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
even though I founded the ministry,
Mhm.
every person who is a part of it,
Mhm.
facilitators, leaders, participants, they all just bring this beautiful spirit.
Mhm.
And I'm just so grateful to
Yeah.
be with it in it.
Yeah. You kind of touched on this a bit, and I'd like to hear if there's any specific tools you have for resourcing yourself
Mhm.
when
Hmm.
you're dealing, like you said, trying to find balance. And what do you use to find the balance when you need it? What
Yeah,
kind of
that is
tools do
such
you
a
have?
good question. And it is different moment to moment, I have to say.
Right.
I mean, one thing, the first thing that comes to mind is that I'm very boundaried with my time.
Mhm.
And
That's good.
I mean, I say that with an awareness of, the privilege that I'm running this ministry, and that allows me to be able to be. But obviously there are deadlines that have to get done. But I I have a pretty strong boundary that I usually don't have meetings until the afternoon. I
Mhm,
really to have that morning time to be my writing, creating, focus time. And so really knowing when I need to step back and I need a few days that I need to be
mhm,
going back in, slowing down. So there are deadlines that have to happen, and then there are self-imposed deadlines that don't have to happen, and I've really grown into seeing the difference,
Yeah, yeah,
which is
that's how it
really
should.
helpful to see the difference. Lowering expectations and
Mhm.
mhm,
and being okay with that, and knowing, okay, especially it is actually been, kind of a gift that I have this trauma that I have to deal with and PTSD. If I get too if things are way too busy
mhm.
and stressful for me, it's not good for my nervous system. And
Right.
Yeah.
so I mean that's less so as the years go on and I've worked through a lot of that trauma. Thank God for good therapy out there for that. But I have to I have to be in tune with balance for my
Mhm,
health now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really physically and mentally. So that is helpful. Each month in the ministry, we have a theme that we're reflecting on. This month, it is resting in God's love.
mm.
And I
Mm.
start out the reflection saying, Netflix, a bag of cheese, popcorn, and the couch. That is how I used to think of resting. I mean, don't get me wrong, that is resting too sometimes for me now. Um, but really, as I go deeper into seeing resting in a bigger way, I
Mhm.
Mhm,
really try to be attentive to where I'm at and what I need. And so
mhm,
resting might be inviting friends and family over and me cooking for them. I love having people
mhm.
over. Another day cooking many days may be sound like the last thing I want to do. And
Right.
resting may be just doing nothing and being on the couch. Or maybe resting
Mhm,
is needing to be kind to myself and lower expectations. And so
mhm,
there are a lot of different ways that I define resting now, more expanded ways. And sometimes they're active, sometimes they're
mhm,
just in the past few years started getting into planting vegetables and
Mhm.
flowers, and that has just given me so much joy, and
Yeah,
that's resting.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
sometimes, and sometimes it's not. So really, it's moment to moment. It's a different
yeah,
answer.
yeah.
That's
That's
right.
that's the right answer. That's perfect. Yeah, that's exactly right. We each moment, one moment at a time, right?
Right.
Yes. So we always like to finish up with offering a space for our guests to tell us what do they wish we had asked. What would you like to share that wasn't actually talked about today?
Hmm. I think one thing that has really helped me in my grief is ritual.
Mm.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I use rituals a lot in my
Mhm.
retreats, both in
Mhm.
person and online. I'm inviting people to rituals. A
Mhm.
ritual can be as simple as lighting a candle.
That's right.
It can be as simple as writing something on a post it note and then tearing it up into pieces and then throwing it as hard as you can into the garbage can
That's
to
Mhm.
release anger.
Mhm.
Um, there are so many different things. Rituals really, they were a lifeline for me, especially in the very beginning.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, I had a couple thank you dinners with friends who were really just there for me in family in such big ways during those
Mhm.
25 days. I had them over. I did a prayer. I went to each one, gave them a little angel with a gratitude on it. Um,
Mhm.
Rituals have been really helpful for me, and really crying as a form of prayer, I would
Mhm.
include
Yeah.
as one of those rituals.
Huh.
I've written a lot about tears as prayer
Huh.
on
Mhm.
Mhm.
my website. I have that is my next book, really, Tears as
Mhm.
Prayer,
Mhm.
Huh.
because
Mhm.
it is a
Huh.
beautiful ritual that is
Huh.
prayer in itself, and
Mhm.
Yes.
that it brings you into that naked, raw, humble,
Huh.
surrendered space
Mhm.
where you are releasing all of those feelings, emotions, thoughts that you may not even
Mhm.
be able to name,
Yeah.
and you're handing it over to God or spirit or
Mhm.
wherever you're wanting to hand it over. And it means you don't need to use words. Your
Mhm.
Mhm.
prayer can just be that deep, deep
Release.
release
Mhm.
of
Release. Yeah.
crying
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
anything, using
Mm.
your body in any way for a ritual, any
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
movement, motion. It helps release and get things
Yeah.
out of your body.
That's so important. So glad you
Mhm.
said that. Yeah. Richard,
Mhm.
have you seen Richard Rohr's new book, The Tears of Things?
Yes, I am slowly reading it, slowly, so I can just devour every word.
Oh, I know. It's so beautiful. It's
It
such a beautiful.
is.
I keep coming back to it when I'm talking to people. Like
And
that
it's
whole.
helpful because he talks about, tears. That
Mm.
you need something to get you through the anger, to get to the
Mhm.
other
Yeah.
side of the anger or the deep
Exactly.
whatever feeling you're feeling. You need something to get you over to the other side.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
his
Exactly.
work
And doing
is
that whole arc.
beautiful that it
Yeah.
helps people get to the other side of that and to
Yeah.
find love in
Yeah.
that. And so,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, it is
Mm.
absolutely Tears as prayer is a beautiful movement to get you to the other side of anger. Maybe not immediately.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is
It
not
can take time,
a
but
quick
ritual, like you
miracle
said.
pill, but
Yeah.
it's a process that
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Important.
And reading Richard Rohr's book is definitely part of that process too.
Yeah. Well, and you actually sent us a poem, I think, that you wrote, that Tears is Contemplative Prayer. Do you want to
Yes,
read that for us as we finish up here?
I would love to. Yes, and contemplation for people who aren't really familiar with that, we see prayer so much as something we're doing, something we're
Mhm.
saying.
Mhm.
And so a contemplative prayer would be without words,
That's right.
being in the abstract, and letting prayer be a sense of being instead of
Hmm.
Mhm.
doing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Ah,
so
I
when
love
we
that.
cry and we let tears be our prayer, we're really entering into that space of being
Mhm.
Hmm.
and surrender, and we don't have to do. And just open ourselves up to letting spirit do the work of the healing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Whatever that surrender might be, look
Right.
like for
Mhm.
people. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So, for people listening to this, I would invite them to just get into a rhythm of breathing in and out and just trying to connect in that surrender, connect in the rhythm of inhale and exhale. Tears as contemplative prayer. Inhale the invitation to a holy cry. Exhale to a cleansing of the spirit. Breathe in the connection to your ancestors' cries. Breathe out your tears in solidarity with a suffering world. This is your act of sacred surrender, the releasing of pain flowing out from your entire body and letting it go. This is your mystical dialogue with the divine, the washing in holy water and cleansing in living water. One last inhale
Mhm.
as you allow for blessing and restoration. Let your tears be a river whose streams make glad the city of God. From Psalms 46:4. One last exhale as you invite your tears from the depths of your soul to rise as a spring of water gushing up to new life. Amen.
Hmm.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you for letting me share it.
Yeah. Well, gosh, it's been again.
Mhm.
We're so pleased to have spent this time with you and really appreciate you. Thank you for joining us today. Please stick around after the credits for our afterthoughts, and it helps our numbers if you stay until the end. We want to thank my children, Nate, Vivian, Nina, and her fiance Asher, for the excellent opening song, and a special thanks to our awesome editor, Sam Zemke, who is also a guest on our podcast. You can listen to him on Season 4, Episode 5. Also, thank you to Charles Heaston, the composer of the original music you are listening to now.
And of course, thanks to you, our audience, and all of our amazing guests. Please come back next week for another great episode. Share this with your friends, family, and community. We hope you will subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Substack. Each guest's additional information will be found in the podcast notes. And of course, if you have a good end-of-life story to share, please reach out. We are always eager to hear from you.
Okay.
We're the luckiest people on earth, constantly intersecting with amazing human beings.
Yeah, Christine, what an amazing person and what amazing work she's doing. I love that she really lifts up the importance of ritual. That's something we've been talking about for many the whole time we've been
Years.
doing this. Yeah, and we really will actually be doing a premium episode about that in the future here. So, what a great uh, resource for us to have and
That's
to know
right.
about. Yeah.
Well, and what I really took away from listening to her was, just like we distill a fine whiskey or fine bourbon, and then there's different levels of it, and not they're not all gonna come out the same way. She talks about grief as being distilled, and there's no hierarchy of how grief is embodied in human beings, right? So,
Yeah.
just because you have grief around your dog dying, it's no different than the grief of a grandmother dying. Like, it's it's grief.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just grief.
and every piece of it can be ritualized. I mean, you
Mhm.
can do as many rituals as you want, the more the better maybe, just to kind of pay attention. This is what's happening to me now. How could I
That's right.
acknowledge this in a ritualized way? Maybe just with a prayer or with a
Mhm.
candle lit
Lighting a
or
candle,
yeah,
right?
yeah, or singing a song or whatever. So
Mhm.
reading poetry. Yeah.
Yes.
Wahoo.
Anyways, amazing.
Yep. So cool. All right. Next time.
All right. Adios.